Perry, the girl who entered this world looking like a snowflake in human form. The second she was born, her mom literally screamed, "She's all white!" And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Perry popped out with pale skin, bleach blonde hair, and eyes lighter than weak chocolate powder. But while Mom was freaking out, Dad was like, "Relax, she's gorgeous." He basically thought he'd just given birth to a baby model. Doctors then dropped the word albinism as the cause of her skin condition, and everyone realized Perry's life wasn't going to be sunshine and rainbows. Literally. She would have to wear protective clothing, layers upon layers of sunscreen, and regular eye checkups. Fast forward to age 7. Perry's at the park trying to make friends when a kid takes one look at her and yells, "Go away, Dracula!" before running off like Perry was about to bite her. Brutal. Heartbroken, Perry runs to her dad. And of course, Super Dad swoops in with, "Sweetie, they're just jealous because you're pretty." Meanwhile, Perry's like, "Pretty? I look like a weirdo." Mom wasn't helping either. She wanted Perry to live indoors like a vampire locked in a castle tower. But Dad always had her back. With just a few words, he could turn her from crying mess to full-on Disney princess. Perry's mom was another story. She didn't hate her, but every time Perry tried to socialize, Mom acted like it was a crime. When Perry was 8, the family moved from Louisiana to Texas. First day of Dad's new job, first day of Perry's new school. Dad insisted on driving her himself, even though Mom warned he might get fired for being late. He didn't care. He wanted his daughter to arrive in style.
And style it was. Perry stepped out of a sleek sports car, instantly turning every head in the parking lot. She wished she could melt into the ground. Inside class, Perry had to introduce herself. She stammered through her name until a bean-headed kid threw a paper plane at her and yelled, "Hey, Four Eyes, were you born in a cave?" The class exploded with laughter, calling her ugly Snow White. Just as she was ready to run out crying, a boy named Greg stood up and snapped, "At least she's pretty, unlike you, beanhead." That shut everyone up. Perry returned to her seat, sneaking grateful glances at Greg, who didn't even look back at her. At home, Mom shocked her by actually being nice for once, saying Greg was sweet for defending her. She soaked it up. But the next morning, everything flipped. Her parents told her she was quitting school. Perry's whole world came crashing down when her parents dropped the news. No more school. She'd be homeschooled for her own good. Dad called it protection, Mom called it comfort, Perry called it prison. For the next 8 years, her life was a cycle of private tutors and pomegranate trees. Every time a teacher sneezed wrong, Dad fired them on the spot. Perry's only escape was reading under that tree, daydreaming about Greg, the boy who once defended her. Then one evening, she headed to her spot and froze. Someone was already there. She yelled, "Hey, that's my spot!" The guy turned around, and her heart almost stopped. It was Greg. Older, taller, hotter, basically cover model hot. Greg just frowned and said, "It's my spot now." And get this, he didn't even recognize her. Perry panicked and blurted out his name. Big mistake. Greg narrowed his eyes. Suspicious. She backpedaled like a bad liar. "I'm just really good at guessing names. Totally not a stalker." She tried to escape, but Greg grabbed her wrist, spun her around, and asked in a low voice, "Why did you run away?" Boom, he remembered her. The white angel from 3rd grade. Perry finally introduced herself and thanked him for defending her all those years ago. Greg wanted answers, though. Why did she disappear? When Perry explained her parents had pulled her out of school and kept her inside for 8 years, Greg was furious. He couldn't believe they'd locked her away like Rapunzel with sunscreen. Perry tried to defend them, but Greg's silence said it all. He was not okay with this. After Greg came back into her life, Perry's world turned into something out of a fairy tale. Every evening, they met under the pomegranate tree, laughing, playing games, and trading stories. Greg filled her in on the chaos of high school, while Perry sat there wide-eyed, drinking it all in like she just discovered Netflix. When Perry introduced Greg to her dad as her childhood hero, Dad practically threw a party. He even invited Greg and his mom over for dinner. Mom, of course, was sulking in the corner. Seriously, he saved her like what, a decade ago? Big deal. Dad shut her down instantly. We're not just thanking him, we're celebrating Perry's first friend. Dinner started off fun, until Greg's mom casually dropped a bomb. She turned to Perry's mom and said, "Wait, you told me you didn't have a child." Perry's heart sank. Dad looked just as blindsided. Mom scrambled with an excuse, but Perry exploded. "You tell people you're childless because I'm an albino?" Mom didn't deny it. She snapped right back, shouting how hard it was to raise a child who couldn't play in the sun, how Perry could have been so much more if only she wasn't born this way. It was brutal. But then Greg's mom spoke up. Her voice was quiet, but it cut deeper than any of the yelling. She revealed she had lost her first child, an albino daughter, 8 years ago. She'd tried to let her live normally, but skin cancer had taken her life. Greg had tears in his eyes. Perry broke down too, and suddenly it all made sense. Why he had defended her that day in class.
Dad was furious at Mom, calling her out for hiding Perry from the world. That was it. Mom stormed off without another word, leaving Perry shaken, but finally starting to understand just how deep her mom's resentment ran. That night, Perry didn't sleep. She ignored her dad's knocking and just kept watching Storytime Animated, still angry he went along with Mom's plan to lock her away. Then she got a text. It was Greg, telling her to look outside. And there he was, in the dark, holding flowers. She climbed out the window and met him on the lawn. They sat under the stars. Perry apologized about his sister. Greg told her it was the past. Then he looked her dead in the eyes and confessed he loved her, not for her looks, but for her heart. Perry said it back, and they kissed. Greg immediately dropped another bomb. His mom, a dermatologist, was launching skincare for people with albinism, and she wanted Perry to be the face of it. Perry was stunned. And then Greg's mom stepped out with a smile, confirming it herself. From there, Perry's life flipped. She became a star. Billboards, magazines, the whole city calling her the Snow Princess. She turned down other brands and stuck with Greg's mom, who paid her more than anyone else could dream of. At home, though, things were rough. Perry barely spoke to her dad, and her mom just kept calling her a brat. One day, Perry snapped and said maybe she should just leave so her mom could finally be childless. To her shock, her dad said he wanted to leave too, and he meant it. They moved into a new apartment. Mom didn't even bother to apologize before disappearing. With Mom gone, Perry and her dad got closer again. She went back to school with Greg, where people recognized her instantly and called her Elsa. Greg and Perry were stronger than ever. When Perry revealed she planned to donate most of her earnings to help others with albinism, Greg called her 1 in a million. Just as they leaned in to kiss, Perry spotted someone watching. It was her mom. This time, she wasn't angry. She was crying, asking Perry and her dad to forgive her and take her back. Perry broke down too, hugged her, and welcomed her home.